Right, so as you saw, been cleaning the engine, cleaned it with degreaser a load of times and just snow foamed it, blasted it over, tried brushing into everywhere to get the most of it off. It's cleaner and probably fairly clean, but there's areas where, I don't know if you can see, but like right down behind the sprocket where, if I hold my hand steady, right behind the sprocket where I either couldn't get in or the grease is about an inch thick, so I just couldn't get through it. But you can see like the casings are starting to come up clean, the cylinder head, the paint's flaking off and bits and pieces, but in general it's quite clean. This chain was new, my wife and her dad fitted a new chain for me, so I'm going to take that off, soak it in some oil, clean it, yeah, just make sure it doesn't rust because it is a brand new chain, so I don't need to replace it again. Yeah, and then we're going to get this engine out of this cradle, and as we do it we're going to show you some stuff about the engine, how it all, engine and drive train, so you can see how it works and start to understand it a bit better, I guess. So I think that's the best way of explaining it. So yeah, let's start stripping it down, get it out of this cradle, out of the subframe, so we can work on the engine. The wiring loom is going to come as well, but also we've got suspension mods to do to the subframe. Yeah, so let's crack on and we'll get the engine stripped down. So I'm going to remove the chain. So we've got engine drive sprocket here. You see that? Yeah. So engine drive sprocket here going into the reversing gearbox, and then chain drive sprocket going to the diff. So get rid of that first. Get it out of the way, which gives us some room so this chain tensioner can come out. Nice and easy, super simple. So pull that bolt, 19 from memory, or an 18 even. 18mm on the back, and it has got a little pinch bolt that I already knew was undone. There we go. Grab that washer. That is the tensioner arm, idler pulley, so it just pushes down on the top of the chain, keeps it nice and tight, and give that a lot more of a clean, because it's still pretty dirty. See behind the engine where not being able to get it clean. So now hopefully I can get the chain off. So end cap off the reversing gearbox, and then see if we can tease this off. It might not come. It's very tight, but you can do it. And also, if I just pull the bolt out of the diff, hopefully now, with a bit of luck, and there we go. A nice big chain. I'll put the sprocket back on, washer first. Or spacer even, it's not washer. And this is a 16 tooth. So this sprocket's very tight on here, so we'll find out why when we take it out. Right, so that's that. The chain. So next up, I think we'll take the reverse gearbox out of its house. So then we clear up this space here. I think it'll come out. It's tight, but yeah, I reckon it'll come. So 6 bolts on the front, and then slide the reversing gearbox out the side of the cradle. And they are 6 M8 bolts. So out they come. Bolts. Right, and then we'll see if we can get this reverse box out. Never tried this before, and the answer is no, you cannot. Can't, because it's locked into the front. Right. Now, engine bolt at the top. Whoa. That's tight. That one's nice and loose. There we go. Last thing's holding the engine in. Got a bolt there into the engine casing. Lower frame bolt down here. Then the oil filter housing is still attached. The engine is still full of oil, so I'm a little bit. So I'll have to drain the oil out of it, I think. And I believe the exhaust and the exhaust manifold, and that is it for physical attachments, I believe. I think the diff is only bolted to the subframe. So yeah, I genuinely think now it's exhaust manifold off, lower engine mount, this engine mount, engine out. Easy. You can't get the reverse gearbox out, so you can't get the reverse gearbox out here. without lifting the engine out of the cradle. And also one thing I'm noticing is the drive sprocket on the end of the engine is loose. So either there's no bolt in the end, I'm pretty sure it used to have a bolt in the end of it, but we'll find out. So, right, I think exhaust manifold out, off, that bolt, lower mounting bolts, and then we'll see if we can get it out. Broken, loose, loose-ish. This one, that's one history. Loose, that's the key. And fine. One reversing gearbox and the sprocket and nuts come off. Right, let's give them some more space. Are we there? Yes, we are. Right, so engine and subframe separate. It's tight fit, yeah, super tight fit actually, but it's out. So for those who don't know, so it's a Yamaha R1 5PW fuel injected engine, 2003. It's done a fair few miles, but sounds healthy and is working as it should. So on this one, it's had the air injection system that goes into the exhaust as part of like the emissions control system is blocked off. We're going to block that off a bit better, get rid of that. You can see the paint's all coming off the cylinder head. So we're going to treat that, sort it all out, clean it up some more, make it nice, sort out these oil cooler lines and make that all nice and neat. Apparently this hose was split when my wife bought the car back, and they replaced this, which he said was fun. So we're going to fix that, or going to make that even better if we can, so it doesn't doesn't get damaged again. Yeah, what else? We need to fit a new clutch in it, tidy it all up, tidy all this wiring and hoses up as good as possible. So as it's an early fuel injected bike, so this is the first generation of Yamaha R1 that was fuel injected. Basically the systems are fairly simple. There's not a lot to it really, so we're going to rewire it, make it all tidy, make it one harness. Yeah, nothing too major to it. So things we found when we took the engine out, we had in the engine mounting bolt on the other side of the engine here, it was helicoiled and the threads had come out of it. all the exhaust manifold nuts were pretty loose. They were just above hand tight. The drive sprocket, so this is the sprocket off the bike. Slots on like that. The nut had actually come off it. The threads are still good, so that had just rattled loose. I guess it couldn't come out of the engine. There wasn't enough space, so it just stayed put in there. I just noticed we've got a bolt missing here as well. Seems good. What else we found? I think we had one broken stud. Did we have a broken stud? No, we have a missing stud, I think. So this one I thought was broken, it's actually missing. So this one I thought was broken, but it's actually missing. It's fallen out. I think it's mainly from the sheer vibrations of the engine, basically. It's solidly mounted in the frame, and I think just with the vibrations of it, a lot of stuff vibrates loose. So it's going to be a lot of either lock wire, Loctite, or Nord lock anti-vibration washers and stuff going to be used when it goes back together, I think. Try and keep it all good. But yeah, basic engine. We'll check it over. I'm going to repaint some bits, clean it all up, polish it, sort out these casings where they're all scratched, and generally make the engine as neat and tidy as I possibly can. Put a new clutch in it, because it's impossible to change a clutch with the engine in the car, so that definitely needs doing. And sort out this location of the oil filter, because that's in a, basically it's right next to the chain on the engine, and it does actually, well, it did hit the chain, or the chain hit it. So yeah, I think over to the subframe. So yeah, subframe without the engine in. So still got some cleaning to do. Missed loads of bits yesterday, but didn't do a bad job. But right in here is filthy, here is filthy. So you notice the diff is pretty clean. It's actually got a Quaife ATB diff in it that I fitted a few weeks back, a few months maybe, a month or two, because the bearings in this part of the diff here, they failed. So I changed the bearings in it, and because of that failed, it was time to upgrade anyway. So we put a Quaife ATB in it. One of the first upgrades. It was going to be done this winter with this job lot, but now it's done, so that's fine. Yeah, exhaust manifold, as you'll see. I'm going to pull that out, but to pull that out I have to at least pull this drive shaft out, which is fine, just part of the job. So we strip this subframe down further so we can actually get it ready for the modifications. So, which are all on the subframe, mainly suspension work. Not mainly, it is suspension work on the subframe. Actually, I'm going to do some work on that. And then what I have noticed, if we come around the back of the subframe and try not to make you dizzy with my amazing camera skills, we've got some welding here. I'm not sure why it's been welded there, but also coming from the weld is a crack. So we need to address that. This isn't a crack here, this one's just dirt. But here, definitely is. So we need to look at that and investigate if there's any more naughtiness anywhere else. I think we should also stiffen the subframe as much as possible, probably weld around all the seams, and in general just trying to make it better, stronger, more resilient. Yeah. So that's about it. I think the next job we've got will be tidy up and then strip some bits down some more, strip the subframe some more, and yeah. Right, time to strip the subframe down. Get this diff out, get the drive shafts out, get the hubs off. I'm going to leave the suspension arms in because I want to measure those see where we're at, see where I want to go, and yeah, that's about it. So, right, drive shafts out, hubs off, crack on with that, let's do it. Just that way around a bit now. So it goes. Right. So back in this. Sweet. Go. Go. Get your balls in it. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. Into the hammer. Come on. Come on. Go all the way. There you go. Remember the bottom two come through those? Right. Really easy way. Shoulder. Sit. Open it out. And one. That's all. Cut through. Right. You'll see. Right, let's get into this one. So, diff out, 2 bolts here or 2 bolts there, probably those ones are easier because then this stays attached to the diff, and then 2 bolts at the back, and I think that is it. Then the diff is out. A little bit concerned no oil is coming out of it yet, but we'll work that one out in a bit. So 13, yeah. 13 on top, no, 6mm. Those 2 out, done, and then 8, and I don't know. 8mm. Here comes the oil out the diff. Torx. So this. There we go, diff out. clutch needs to come off. 13's lovely. And this one is a standard classic mini slave cylinder. That'll get replaced as well. 726 maybe. There we go. Right, time to tidy up, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do after I've done that. So it's all in bits, as light as a mini subframe is going to be. So yeah, all stripped. Springs are out both sides. These are going to get sold, cleaned up and sold. But yeah, so one subframe. So what's the plan? So in the very first episode I mentioned, the last episode, I mentioned and checked for bump steer in the car. Now bump steer is caused because the suspension's been lowered, so the inner tie rod and the angle of the suspension movement has become misaligned because I've lowered it. I've taken it out of its standard range. There's a few more things in it than that, but in basics, the car's gone. I've lowered the car, so the angle of the suspension has come up. So instead of the arm being level or slightly up in this case, is now more up at an extreme angle, and that goes for top and bottom. Now you can fit roll centre correction ball joints, which then lowers the lower arm back down to a more acceptable or an acceptable angle, which is nice and easy, and I could do that straight away. Yeah, could do that straight away, but I want to be a bit more adventurous with it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm stupid, but wouldn't be the first time I've been a bit daft. But what I think I'm going to do is we're going to raise the pin heights, so the pivot point of the arms, so top and bottom. Going to raise it by I think 25 to 30 mil, so not extreme, I don't think, just a good amount. We'll check the geometry as we go just to make sure it's going to be correct. But yeah, I think we're going to lift the pin heights, so the pivot points of the arms, 25 mil. We're going to respect the line that it's sat in, so keep it in the same plane, but move it up on the top arms, both sides, do exactly the same. So the top arms are going to be retained, the standard ones, but the pivot point lifts up, which effectively means that the suspension is going back to a standard geometry on the top arms, which should help in some aspects. There's other things we have to do, but that's one thing we're going to do. I'm not running the springs and the high-lows. I've hated them from day one. It's felt roly-poly and soft and rubbish, mainly as well down to the dampers, but I'm going to go with coilovers, because then I can at least spec the springs I want, and if I'm not happy with the spring rates, I can change them for £100 ish. You know, I can adjust it. Yeah, so we're going that, and then for the bottom arms, we're going to go custom. So what we're going to do is modify the bottom pickup at the back. We're going to raise it the same as we do the top. So if it's 25mm, the bottom arm's coming up 25mm as well. But then we're going to make it so we can fit a rose joint to it at the back. And then for the front, so we're going to get rid of the tie rod, and we're going to actually make A-frame, new lower arms completely, more traditional, that you find in a kit car. So a new A-frame, lower arm, so an A-frame. I don't know why I'm overcomplicating this, but then another rose joint point at the front for it. And what this is going to mean is I can adjust by using misalignment spacers. I can move the rose joints forward or backwards to increase caster. I can then adjust inwards and outwards to do camber super easy. Also, that it means I can do slight camber and caster adjustments more easier, because the way this system works, if I put a lot of camber in it, I have to reset the caster, then you have to reset. It just gets more complicated. So I'm going to try and uprate that, make it all super stiff as possible, so we'll probably weld around. I'm going to look at getting if I don't lean on it too much, the subframe stiffening kit from either Owens or Urchfab, and stiffen it up, weld around everything, and generally make it as strong as possible where it's currently not, just to reduce all the flex and all the distortion it may have. And then once we've done the suspension on the subframe, the steering rack's the next point of issue. So we're going to have a look at the mountings on it, see if we can increase the stiffness there, get rid of any untoward movement. But then also, because we've lowered the car and kept the steering rack at the same height, the steering arms then go up as well, the same like the wishbones do. So then what we're going to do with that is lower the track rod ends down and rose joint those as well, so then they become into the correct geometry as well, and we can adjust those, fine tune them with shims, basically to get the bump steer as minimal as possible, but also any distortion movement to a minimum as well. And that should give me, or will give me, the best handling I can do. And then the final tweak to the puzzle will probably be an anti-roll bar as well, but that comes later. I need to see how we can fit an anti-roll bar to this, because I don't think a CAD one will fit. There are other companies, so I'll have a look, and if we change the arms, we've got to change some other things, but it's not a problem. We have got a straight bar at the bottom that we can make stuff work off. But yeah, next step's going to be making some jigs, checking the measurements, and then going and raising the pivot points. We'll start with the top arms, raise those, because they're going to be the easiest point. You've got to reinforce this part here, step it up, do that, and then yeah, we'll see where we're at after that. So I don't know whether I'm calling this finished for this episode or not. We'll see in the edit. I'm not very good at editing, I'm not very good at filming, but we'll see where we're at and how much more I get to do. Yeah, how much more I get to do in this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.